You can watch our full review at the link down below, but the
Full review at the link down below. Is it not just right there? Is it not like a card? I don't know how this works, guys. I'm sorry. I apologize. But the best part is he's not even saying, like, where's the link to the video he just said? Like, this is what gets me aggravated. They say link down below, like they say it, and it's never there. Have you guys ever done that before? Look. It's like, the video's linked down below. Okay, where? I mean, he has all the laptops here except for the one that I wanted, first of all. Second of all, he said, oh, check out this video. I really want to see that video. This is musics. No. See, we just have to type it in manually, which is fine. Like, who cares? It's just like, don't say it's in the bottom of the video when it's not, bro. What's it called? Ryzen AI Linus. Strix Point? No. Wow, cool. Ryzen AI, is that what it's going to be? Okay, let's click it.
the link below. In front of me is the new ASUS ZenBook S16, powered by the brand new, dear lord, AMD Ryzen AI 9HX370. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, the chip is really good, but this has to be the worst naming scheme that we've seen in years. And this is right after we just made an entire video.
I was about to say, you guys just complained about someone else's number.
Naming schemes to mislead their customers. Almost everything else about it is great, though. It's built on TSMC's near cutting-edge 4nm node, and we get an extra 4 cores compared to last gen. And while the base frequency is just 2 GHz, this little 12-core, 24-thread monster can boost up to 5.1 GHz if the power and thermals of your laptop allow it. I bring up power limits here because if you look in front of me, we've got a MacBook Pro and also 3 ASUS VivoBooks featuring the same 50-watt TDP, but with 3 different processors. Now the plan was for us to also get a VivoBook with the Ryzen AI 300, but we didn't. So our Ryzen AI is running at just 28 watts. So much for our apples to apples showdown, and almost this entire review. But then we were like,
am I crazy? Am I crazy? Ryzen AI 300. So that is the one then, right? Okay. That was the one. Okay, good. Just making sure.
I don't think I've ever seen this before. AMD is launching a new series of mobile CPUs, and the laptop they sent over is fine, except that it's limited to about half of the...
Okay, here we go.
How could this possibly happen? Our Ryzen AI 300 easily beats its last generation x86.
How do you get a 300?
Review. But then we were like, okay, I mean, we know this isn't a fair comparison, but why don't we try it anyway? And how could this possibly happen? Our Ryzen AI 300 easily beats its last generation x86 competitors, and while Qualcomm appears to still be in the lead here, you gotta remember, that Snapdragon chip is running at 50 watts. To see how much that difference was impacting our test, we got our hands on a Dell XPS 13 that also has a 28-watt TDP, and would you look at that? When matched for power, these two CPUs are darn near matched for performance.
I don't know which one
AMD
is AI.
In multi-core, while Qualcomm edges them out in single-core. But
which one's AI?
Differences are the kind that you would notice in daily usage. The same can't be said about Apple, however, whose last-gen M3 still manages to gap everyone in single-core performance. I'm really looking forward to M4. Now, keeping in mind the power disparity, AMD takes a win in AV1 encoding, while Qualcomm edges them out in X264.
Oh, it's AMD versus Qualcomm.
Once again, beats out everyone on
I
Windows,
understand now.
only to be promptly put in their place by Apple. And Adobe Premiere Pro is a similar story. just with some of the pages ripped out of the book because our Qualcomm device simply wouldn't open the program, helping to make AMD's case that emulation is still no substitute for native x86 hardware. Of course, these are laptop CPUs, so for many of you, heavy workloads are irrelevant.
I don't think...
What really matters is battery life, and...
Okay, that's amazing. AI performance, yeah, sure.
Boring elephant. You probably noticed that the Ryzen 300 name has AI shoehorned right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So how is it at AI?
Yeah, how is it?
AMD is very proud that their new NPU, or Neural Processing Unit, has a whopping 50 TOPS that are dedicated to AI acceleration, which beats Qualcomm's 45 TOPS. Neat. So, to test it, we fired up UL Procyon and it didn't work. So, we opened up one of Microsoft's new Copilot Plus programs and... What, those aren't supported yet either? No. But don't worry, according to AMD's notes, Ryzen AI processors work great in the programs you use every day, like Amuse, Hugging Face, and Agentic. Sorry.
I think I'm going to skip the AI, honestly.
To be clear, the inclusion of an NPU is appreciated, and programs that you've heard of will surely take advantage of it someday. It's just that including it right in the middle of the product name makes it seem more important than it is right now.
Right.
And it isn't even compatible enough for us to test it. And I hope that this is a trend that stops dead. I mean, they didn't call the last gen Ryzen AV1 Decode 6000 series, and we didn't call this shirt Screwdriver 40% polyester, now available on LTTstore.com. Sorry, I got going on naming again, didn't I? I shouldn't, because there are other problems.
Good job, product placement.
Arguably bigger ones.
You made me want a t-shirt, Linus. Psych,
Ryzen AI 300 has no support for SODIMM memory. That means that not only is there no way to upgrade the RAM on this laptop, there is no way for any laptop manufacturer, like Framework, investment disclosure, to design a Ryzen AI 300 laptop that can be upgraded. It is possible that they will change this in the future, and I really hope they do, because
Acronis?
platform.
What's
They
Acronis?
boast ultra-secure
Oh, is it
backup
the...
and lightning fast recovery from
Okay,
multi-site.
it's just his advertisement. So, the AI 300, is it worth it or not?
Well, it turns out that the Ryzen AI 300 series and Zen 5 on laptops is actually a lot better than we thought it was. Look,
Sure.
we were first exposed to Zen 5 laptops when we got this guy. This is the ZenBook S16. And altogether, it's a great device. There was almost no complaints about it. It did really good against the competition, and it did, at the time, show what the Ryzen AI 300 series could actually bring to the table. But at the time, we said its performance could have actually been a whole lot better. You see, its Ryzen AI 9 365 was
more like Hungry
maximum
Mike's,
of
exactly, cuz
33 watts, while those chips technically top out at a lot more.
You know me.
4 watts to be exact.
I'm Hungry Mike.
In a situation where power means absolutely...
I don't think I'm getting AI. I mean, I'm getting AI, but I'm not getting the Ryzen AI. Let's see what this guy says about it.
Everything for performance, there might have been a lot left in the tank. Not only that, but the ZenBook S16 was one of only a handful of laptops with these new AMD chips.
I just want to see if it's worth it or not. And no one's giving me the answer.
AMD and Lenovo, they saw that situation, they saw our numbers, and they reached out.
And I can't figure out why.
Now that more devices are coming out, we can do a lot better. A whole lot better. And I asked them to prove it. And that's exactly what they did.
Okay.
They ended up sending one of Lenovo's new Yoga Pro 7 Gen 9 laptops with the AI 365 chip. And here, guys, they helped offset some of the costs involved with producing this video and us buying some additional devices for testing. Other than that, they told us to go for it. No strings attached.
All right, let's see.
Some very, very interesting apples to apples comparisons, because the Yoga Pro 7, it's actually been around for a couple of generations now. This one is actually, I think, like 2 years old. I mean, if a design works, why change it, right? And that's absolutely critical for this video, since with it, we're able to...
CPU, AI 9, 2 Ryzen 7s. The 4's in the right place for both of them. Thanks to Linus, I know that. Memory, okay. So the two on the right are just, like, they seem very similar. And the one on the left just has what... better GPU and 1 watt higher power and more memory.
Multiple generations of Ryzen laptop processors running at almost identical power levels. in laptops with functionally the same chassis, cooling systems, battery capacity, you name it. More importantly, we were even able
Oh,
to
we're really about to get some good shit.
Ryzen 7 7840HS from overseas, since that model was never sold here in North America with integrated graphics.
Oh
Like I said,
shit.
our goal here is to see what kind of generational uplift Zen 5 actually provides. Of course,
Sure.
there's also the power
Yes.
factor that I talked about at the very beginning of this video, at least between the two laptops, the ZenBook and the Pro 7. And power is one of the most significant factors in laptop design, period. While ASUS might have limited the AI,
It'll be plugged in all the time, honestly.
power, that was by design intent. They simply wanted to create a quiet, extremely thin laptop that still delivered good performance in everyday situations. So two things were sacrificed: power and noise.
I think I know the laptop I'm going for.
The Pro 7 series has always leaned towards more demanding buyers. That means additional power and relatively low noise coupled with good temperatures, and all of that while still maintaining a slim profile. The end result is a laptop which can actually sustain power levels that in its highest power mode are above AMD's configurable TDP limit. But I know what you guys are thinking. Look, AMD has
That's a lot of words. That's what I'm thinking.
For the Ryzen AI 9 365 that they have on their website. Why in the world is Lenovo able to take the Pro 7 and run their laptop above AMD's stated specs? So let me explain. This is what Lenovo's power input looks like over a 10-minute all-core workload. Basically, if a laptop's cooling, power delivery, voltages, and a bunch of other factors have enough overhead, the processor can opportunistically boost to just over 70 watts for a short period of time, after which it can hang around 60 watts for a while before eventually heading to AMD's sustainable power spec of 54 watts. The amount of time a laptop spends above 54 watts is determined by a term AMD calls STAPM, or the skin temperature or whatever. So basically, if the laptop's surface gets too hot, power gets scaled back until it hits 54 watts. But with the Pro 7's cooling system, that didn't happen at any time during our 10-minute test. And the Yoga Pro 7 can do this largely because of Lenovo's X-Power design. Not only are there dual high-performance fans and an extensive...
I mean, this guy's going... I love because this guy's detailed. I love it. I just want to know.
A GPU using the refreshed RDNA 3.5 architecture, an NPU rated at 40 TOPS, support for Copilot+, Wi-Fi 7, the list goes on. So the question here is pretty simple. Can the Ryzen AI 9 365 end up beating the Ryzen 7000 series and Ryzen 8000 series when it's installed into the exact same chassis, or at least when all the CPUs are installed
into
the same chassis, given the same type of cooling, and every other factor is completely normalized, including the power? Not only that, did our initial review of the Ryzen AI 9 365 sell it a little bit short? Let's kick things off with Cinebench, and of course we're naturally going to see huge progression for the Ryzen AI 9 365.
Okay.
Since it has 20 processing threads, whereas previous generations had 16. And yet we can still see what when that same CPU is wattage constrained. Despite more threads, it can barely keep up with the 7000 series.
Wow.
That's exactly why testing laptop processors needs to be done with similar devices that have matching power levels. If not, you'll get apples to oranges comparisons all over the place and come to a completely incorrect conclusion about what a CPU, or GPU for that matter, is truly capable of. And yet, if you move into single-threaded performance, which isn't power constrained, the Ryzen AI 9 365 performs the same regardless of how much AMD wanted to increase responsiveness in apps that thin and light laptops.
So it does make a difference.
And a lot of those are...
It does make a difference.
That directly affects applications that a lot of people tend to see. You would call it excessively and more creative focused apps that combine multi and lightly...
Lower is better, okay.
Additional power, even with architecture.
Lightroom, where's Premiere at?
I also don't want to completely really look what's B7840HS. The GPU gets involved in processing. Well, it has both the CPU with more current GPU.
DaVinci, here we go.
So critical for a program like Resolve, since it uses both the CPU and GPU cores when rendering out a project. So in these cases, feeding the entire SoC with more current grants a much higher rate of return than even in strictly processor-related tasks. The same goes for Premiere, but its output is...
Oh, Premiere's actually where I'm at. Let's go. AI is 7 minutes difference. Is it really like how much more of a difference is that 7 minutes?
That's where the 880M can really
shine. Like, is that 7 minutes like, oh, that 7 minutes is like, every minute's like 10 steps, you know?
laptops give the thing people significantly better gaming.
What do you say the other thing?
Point, regardless of the wattage they're running at. Another thing people were looking for when it came to Strix Point and Zen 5 on laptops was significantly better gaming performance. And look, we can't expect miracles here. These are thin and light devices. They are ultra portables. They are not meant to be gaming first laptops. On the other hand, AMD's RDNA 3.5 GPU architecture that they're using here does have the foundation to give you some really amazing results in a small chassis like this. The only thing is that it absolutely needs power to shine. Let's start with synthetics that combine CPU and GPU.
It needs power.
Finally allowing the Ryzen AI 9 365 to stretch its legs. While the lower wattage S16 system still put up some amazing performance per watt numbers, even with RDNA 3.5, it couldn't compete directly with the previous generations since those processors were being given a bit more juice. But here we can really see the benefits of what AMD's refresh gaming architecture can do when it's compared against laptops that have an almost identical power envelope. Moving on to actual games, and the differences are even bigger in some cases, to the point where the Pro 7's AI 9 365 is sometimes able to offer almost 50%, yes 50% better performance.
That's pretty good.
45HS when both processors are operating at the same nominal power. And that should be a huge dose of good news for anyone who wants to use their thin and light laptop for a bit of gaming. And it's not like you'll be limited to low settings with some of today's most popular titles. A lot of them can be set to medium or even high details and still deliver a playable experience. And even more demanding games are completely playable at medium to, I guess, medium-low settings. It just feels
Cyberpunk,
like
that's the one that's going to destroy everything.
Just keeps getting better and better. Another thing that highlights the potential behind RDNA 3.5 is how close the ZenBook comes to the higher-powered previous generation devices. I mean, that thing's running at just 33 watts, but it can pretty much match the Zen 4 designs that
look, the AI is performing like crazy compared to the it's a world of difference. It competes with it when it's at the 33 watts. 58 watts is like by far.
And is wondering right now, where in the world is this? All continues. This is for hunger. Zen 5 is one of the best CPU architectures to hit the laptop market in the last 10 years. On the other hand, what these tests show is that it can also scale very, very well from lower wattages all the way up to higher ones without losing its competitive edge. And that's especially important when you consider laptops like the Yoga Pro 7 have an
So I think I understand what's happening here. So what's happening here is I'm basically figuring out. Let's just see this guy.
We've got a special event lined up for you today.
We're going to see this guy, but basically where I'm at, in case you guys don't know where I'm at, because it's been a while since I looked it up, since I talked about it with that, right? So basically here's where I'm at. The Lenovo i1, this is I'm kind of straying away from this one. The 15 book OLED I'm straying away from as well. I think this, oops. Edit, undo. I think this is the one that I want right there. I think that's what I want. This one is a maybe. I have to look into this one. This one's very expensive, but it might be the winner. These two I think are out of the picture completely. I think so. We'll see. Oh my god, I ruined my whole paint. Oh my god, so thank God. My god. God's on my side for that one. Let's see what this is all about now. See what this guy got to say. We might throw some laptops in there, but I think we're pretty much ready to kind of go down the list of the next step of the list.
Taylor Sierra and I have spent the last several weeks gaming on and using 7 of the most popular budget gaming laptops.
Mouse.
Well, today